It's the sun. Of course it's the sun. It's the common theme. And what a staggering thing, Nicole. What a staggering kind of conclusion to come to. That when the sun gets hotter, the planet temperature goes up. Have you noticed that? When you go out and the sun comes out, it gets warmer. I mean, this is some of these scientists are the ones that understand that the carbon dioxide causes global warming scam is a nonsense. They are utterly incredulous at how obvious it is what the real cause of global warming is, while it's being completely ignored. And when you look at the graph of what they call sunspot activity, when there's more and more energy being generated from the sun. I mean, some of these sunspots, these great explosions on the sun, some of them are as big as Jupiter. And the more sunspot activity that you see, the more solar radiation is being projected into the solar system, and the more the temperature goes up. And we had a situation hundreds of years ago where they had what scientists call the medieval warm period, when the temperature was higher than it is today. And so you say, hold on a second, I read history about the medieval period. I never heard anything about turbocharged handcarts. Did you hear about that? And the exhaust fumes coming out of flowers and stuff, I don't remember that. So what caused global warming in the medieval warm period? The sun did. And there was a period of great sunspot activity. Then sunspot activity started to fall until it reached the point where it was measured by an observer, a scientist called Maunder, and it's got the scientific name now, the Maunder minimum, when sunspot activity virtually not stopped, but almost was unmeasurable. And that's when we had, following the medieval warm period, what science calls the Little Ice Age. This is the Little Ice Age when you still see some of the pictures on Christmas cards back in the 1700s, when people were literally having ice fairs on the River Thames because it had frozen over. Then the sunspot activity started to increase, and the temperature on Earth started to rise, and it went up and up and up, and the graph of sunspot activity increase to Earth temperature increase is like they're connected by magnets. They are absolutely at one, the two of them. It went up, the sunspot activity and temperature, to 1940, at which point it fell, sunspot activity fell, and so therefore did temperature, from 1940 to 1975. So much so, Nicole, that the BBC in the early 70s were doing documentaries about the possibility of a coming ice age, and they were showing mocked-up pictures of London frozen under ice, and the great weather catastrophe was going to be an ice age. From 1975, sunspot activity started rising again, and so did Earth temperature. And both of them, one following the other, have gone on rising ever since until we reach today. Carbon dioxide is a minor greenhouse gas. 95% of greenhouse gases is water vapor. I've got a great idea. Let's ban water. Hey, let's have a kind of blockage on the amount of water we can produce. I mean, please. So you've got carbon dioxide being a fractional percentage of greenhouse gases, and the amount that humans produce is a fraction of that. Now, I'm not saying pollution's a good thing. This is where they divert you and change the point of the argument. I'm not saying that pollution's a good thing. It'd be great to have less pollution. Of course it would. But the question is not that. In the case of global warming, it's do carbon dioxide emissions cause the rising temperature? Because it's on that lie, provably so, that all these new laws, taxations, changes, impositions are being justified. We ain't seeing anything yet. This theory is growing all the time. And there are certain red flags, alarm bells that go off when you research this subject for as long as I have. And one of them is called Al Gore. The very fact that Al Gore, whatever Al Gore is involved in, is a scam, because he's a front man for the mob, the Illuminati. This is the reason why, when he was blatantly not allowed to be president, when he had the votes to be so, and Bush won in 2000, he never kicked up the stink that anyone else would in that situation, when it was quite obvious there'd been a manipulation of the vote. He didn't do it because that wasn't his role. He knows his place. And now he becomes a high priest, because it's become a religion, of the carbon cult. And he's produced this documentary, An Inconvenient Truth, and the book of the same name. I understand, my goodness me, he's been proposed for the Nobel Peace Prize. Well, for making a documentary, telling lies. I mean, is it me or what? And anything that Al Gore is involved in is part of the scam. So you put all these things together, and global warming is, well, not global warming because the temperature's going up, but the fact that it's caused by carbon dioxide emissions is one of the major cards being played now to push on the Orwellian centralized state.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up. Is that in your book?
Yes, in detail, okay, with the graphs and stuff to show. And one other thing that happens, Nicole, that affects temperature is that when there's an increase in solar radiation hitting the Earth, there is a decrease in cosmic rays. And it's cosmic rays interacting with water vapor that creates clouds. And, of course, if there's a reduction in cosmic rays, there's a reduction in cloud activity. Therefore, there's a much greater amount of solar radiation goes directly to the Earth and the temperature goes up. And, again, the graph of the cosmic rays stroke against sunspot activity are again two graphs with a magnet that go up and down with each other. Of course they do, because one's causing the reaction from the other. It is not even vaguely theoretical that increased solar radiation is the cause of global warming. It's clear, provable fact. The reason that we don't know that, except that there was a wonderful documentary in this country a few months ago called The Great Global Warming Swindle, in which these scientists, and really at the top of their professions and their specialities, were actually given a platform at last, just once, to say carbon caused global warming is a nonsense and explain why. And the reason that that's not known by most people is because the propaganda is all one way. And again, there are other alarm bells in situations when there's a scam going on. And one of them is when only one side of the argument is given and stressed against a situation where anyone who's putting the alternative is not challenged on the facts, they are attacked personally and dismissed in terms of almost, there's this phrase now that's being thrown around by some of these carbon cultists called global warming deniers. Mm-hmm. It's like Holocaust denier, you know. By definition, you're a really bad person and you don't care about people and you don't care about the Earth and you're really, really horrible if you say, actually, this global warming is being caused by something else. And when you've got that combination, Eva, of one side of the argument being stressed and anyone putting the other side of the argument being attacked personally and vilified personally, then you've got a massive scam on your hands. And these scientists were saying how if you put forward a research project which is based on global warming is caused by carbon dioxide, you get the funding. You do the opposite. You put forward a desire for funding to bring about research that shows that it's the sun. No way do you get the funding. In fact, you start to get vilified within the profession. Some of these scientists have had death threats simply by saying, it's a scam, it's a lie, this is not caused by that. And that's always a obvious sign of a massive manipulation going on, and it is. That's what it is, and it's really up front now, really at the cutting edge of the justifications for pushing the agenda forward.
Well, it smacks of manipulation in the way it's been delivered in, you know, like you said, introducing taxes and creating more ways of lack and limitation kind of energy in the media. Mm-hmm. And definitely it's been a very unpopular thing to speak against. And I think you're definitely onto something there. It's been interesting not being able to voice that in very many places, as you say.
Right.
Definitely a sign.
But the thing is, if what you're saying is correct, then keep saying it, because eventually it'll be proved so. I mean, one of the reasons that so many people are turning to my books and information in latter years is because what was in them years ago